Welcome, everybody, to the Springtown Election Candidate Interview Forum. My name is Janet Pravadakis. I've been a town resident for over 26 years. And normally we would have a candidate forum and there would be some sort of debate back and forth between the candidates. Well, this year, because of the pandemic and there being only one contested seat on the ballot, and that would be in the town moderator, we've opted for a Zoom interview forum. The forum is going to be broadcasted on Channel 8 and on the Ayer Public Access Corporate website at ayerpublicaccess.org. I'm going to be introducing the candidate. They're all going to be in separate interviews. Give them some time to tell us who they are and give us a little background about themselves. I'm going to ask each candidate separately the same 5 questions derived from prior candidate forums. The candidate will then have several minutes to answer the questions, and then we'll give them a few minutes to go ahead and give a type of closing remark. As a reminder that this interview forum is for the Springtown election. It's going to be happening at Town Hall on Main Street on May 11th, 2021, and the polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. So I'm going to take this time to introduce James O'Connor. Thank you, James, for participating in this. I want you to be able to go ahead now and introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a background.
Okay, my name is James O'Connor and I live up at Turtle Hill Estates. My wife and I moved here last October, and my wife proposed that we move towards Ayer because she is a reference librarian at the Groton Public Library, wanted to be closer to work, and I had heard about Ayer before, been here a few times, and we looked around, found a beautiful piece of property and an interesting town to come to. So the first thing I decided to do was to get acquainted, get on the special notices, meet with folks over at the senior center, talk to people at town hall, including Susan Copeland, got a copy of the annual report and wanted to learn as much as I could about the town. In background, I've been working 40 years as a tax consultant. I went to Bentley University and Boston College. I've been a town meeting member for 23 years with the town of Arlington. For the last 8 years, I was the assistant moderator and stood in the position every time that the moderator had to recuse himself because of a conflict of interest. I pride myself in having a goal of fostering networking and open-mindedness at public meetings. So I've been attending the select board meetings since January, listening to the FinCom meetings, reviewing transcripts from APAC, and trying to learn more about the town. That's pretty good start of who I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good background. And, you know, coming from Arlington, that gives you a chance to go ahead and see what Ayer really is like. I know I always used to call it when I worked in Cambridge, a hidden gem. I never like to tell people a lot about it because I didn't want people moving out this way because I wanted to keep it all to myself. All right, so what I want to do is start with some of the questions. What would you bring to the position of town moderator?
Well, in first point, I think that the moderator's role is that of facilitating communication between members of the town hall, staff, employees of the town, and the residents in discussing the articles that are upon the warrant. It isn't so much that the moderator knows all the answers, but knows where to go to get them. So what I have tried to bring to the position as a newcomer to the town, although I have experience in town meeting procedure and operation, having been involved for 23 years, is I wanted to learn as much as I can about town residents, town employees, the select board, the FinCom. And so I've been attending meetings and learning what I can, kind of sponging up as much detail, including learning the most important place in town is the transfer station. I didn't know that until I went and asked people to sign my nomination papers over there. That would be some of the things that I would bring to the position.
Right, that sounds pretty good. So when you look at how you can be I'm trying to keep this away from the cat. I do apologize, James. When you feel that you can be a strong and objective leader of town meeting, how do you think that can happen and why?
Well, one of the things that I found in being part of 252 town meeting members in Arlington, representing 21 precincts, I was elected the chair of my precinct the first year I started 23 years ago, which was just 6 months after I moved into Arlington. I also was elected as the chair of the Election Modernization Committee, and I organized and produced forums to help residents know more about what the town business was that they wanted to find out about. And I really think what's important is being able to network, being able to know the parties that are involved and making acquaintances. A lot of foot traffic around town. I met with Mr. Minoyan to see what the Central District was about because I have a passion for economic development. And I think that Ayer is growing, it's expanding, and I needed to know what it was. And I want to make sure that I can contribute as a resident of the town. And if it be the will of the people, as moderator, to help town meeting get more actively involved. When I had learned from someone that for a few years back, it was difficult to get a quorum of only 50 members. I really would like to see more people feel interested to come. I think we've had a number of years in the last 10 years or so where people have spoken about voter apathy. And I think that the more people feel engaged, the more people feel informed, the more they're going to be actively involved. And I think that makes it a better town because we have more concern for each other and concern for the people's business, which is what town meeting is really all about.
Right, yeah, I know that we like to try to keep as many people involved as possible, and it's nice to see that there's new blood coming into the town. When you look at our town meetings and such, I want people to know that there is a document out on the Ayer website with the town's residents' guide to a town meeting. I think
yes, published in 2015, and it's a great presentation, most of which speaks to the history of town meeting, which is it's the most important part of government. And I really think it, one of the comments made in the first paragraphs, it's a popular misconception that the school committee or select board controls the spending of your tax dollars. But that's not true. Unless there's a vote of town meeting for the appropriation, there's no budget to be spent. Mm-hmm. Even though Ms. Cabri and Mr. Pontbriand and the FinCom can devise a really well-prepared budget, it's the people that choose to spend the money. And of course, as the people that pull the money out of their pocket to pay their tax dollars, that's the way it should be. So I was very impressed with that resident's guide to town meeting. Mm-hmm. I also am impressed with the website because of the budget book that's prepared each year, the annual report. I've been reading past annual reports to learn the history of the town and gone back to the first year that's on the website, which is 2010, to learn about things that have gone on and reorganization of the town. And I think what makes Ayer a vibrant community is the fact that there's a lot of economic growth coming here. what I knew about it before was the close of Fort Devens. So I went to O'Hanlon's Pub once and went to the fireworks at Tyrone Park. I said, this is a really nice town. Um, so I'm looking forward to be more actively involved, especially after the COVID precautions are lifted. I've been fully vaccinated, but as of yet, our town hall is not open for regular business. And I was impressed with Mr. Pontbriand's statement that everybody is welcome to come to town hall, come in and, you know,
Mhm.
address whatever questions they have.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to be open as well. It's like, oh, you talked about your 23 years, working in the town of Arlington and such. Do you have any other experiences in moderating a large scale discussion?
Yes, in fact, as the person appointed by the moderator to be the chair of the Election Modernization Committee, I talked to our town manager about promoting COVID precautions, early voting, mail-in voting, and options. Last year, we had the unfortunate situation where our town clerk, 6 months before the election, had an illness that had her have to step down. We didn't have anybody to replace her until the election that occurred last year, and that wasn't even until June the 15th. So or June 6th rather. But as we were all prepared for an election in April, I thought it was very important that we work with the health department and talk about how we're going to protect the voters, how we're going to protect, more importantly, the people working at the polls that would have a lot of exposure. And so I led a forum with the town manager where I was the host on Zoom, dealing with all of the questions that came from the chat, that came from various places, to see that we fully vetted the concerns of the people. So I've done that. I've also been in situations where I've led classes. I've been a trainer of EMTs, and I used to be a volunteer firefighter a long time ago, and I used to work with the Red Cross as a trainer of advanced first aid. So I'm familiar with getting in front of people and, seeing the questions are answered, and I feel comfortable with dealing with a large scale discussion.
All right, that's good. When you've had a chance to look back at, and you said that you look back at old transcripts and old videos and such, our town meetings, do you see any way that a town meeting can be improved by a moderator's perspective?
Well, I would be cautious to say that as a newcomer, I want to learn more before I would suggest any changes. But one of the things that I think that's important is to get people engaged. I see already a lot of work with the articles of the day that are put on the town website. There's a lot of effort by the town hall to inform people of what the warrant articles are. There's explanatory notes that came to all of us with the actual warrant, but there's so much background behind that I can only say, because I've been going to select board meetings since January, that there are usually at most 20 people, of which 17 are town employees, and the rest are a couple of people that kind of observe. I would hope as moderator to continue to be able to be informed, and would go to the various select board meetings, the FinCom meetings. I even looked at a couple of conservation committee meetings. I did notice yours, Janet, of the affordable housing public forum that you did last week.
Looking at the fifth question here, it's always, something during an interview where they ask, how do you see the role of the town moderator changing in within the next 5 years and such? So how do you see it if at all you want to take a gander at what a
Well,
picture
as
could
I
be.
looked at that question, I realized after talking to Mr. Manoyan about the economic development and the number of new housing units that are coming into town, I understand that there is likely to be a new grammar school proposed in the next few years as well. And with new residents, there's new opportunity to expand. I really like the concept of open town meetings so that everybody can come. And I
And
would like,
Arlington wasn't an open town meeting, right?
no, it was a representative town meeting of 252 members.
Okay.
It certainly was representative of the town, but the fact that everybody can come, when I first was exposed to town meeting, it was back in 1981 in the state of Vermont, when I was in Westover, Vermont. And we actually had to pay a poll tax back then to vote. And so I remember Helen Upton, she was our town clerk, and it was very interesting to come to town meeting and to listen to everybody have their expression of opinions. So I really want to see that the moderator is more informed about the things going on in town. I can't speak for the past moderators because I wasn't here, but I understand that they were well known, and I think I talked to the folks at the fire station. I wanted to come down to the police station perhaps this week and learn about the HVAC unit that you're going to replace. I wanted to know more about the CPA funds money projects and learn about these things, so that I think the moderator's role in large part is to be able to designate the question to the proper person that's going to answer the question. Because the moderator couldn't possibly know enough to answer all the questions themselves, and I wouldn't even attempt to. But knowing who the people are, especially in light of COVID, this has been a challenge for me to get as acquainted with people as I possibly can during this kind of protective environment. You can't go to town hall, and you just have to use whatever resources you can.
No, it's true. Because sometimes when you want to ask those questions, it's nice to be able to do it face to face. And then, again, that's the whole idea behind the diversity of all the different departments and such. That's why I think we're on the right track of getting things moving within the town. I'm going to go ahead and, ask you for your closing statements, if you want to, and reiterate what you've just told us.
Okay. In large part, I'm asking the people of Ayer to give me an opportunity to show them my skills, because we're going to have a special situation this year in light of Mr. Horgan's passage last year by vote of the select board at town meeting next week. The town clerk will get up, ask for nominations. There'll be a vote of who their temporary moderator is going to be. So as I mentioned to Mr. Pontbriand back in February when I spoke with him, I said, this gives a unique opportunity to the townspeople because they can try before they buy. In a sense, see what I'm able to do. And I'm very positive about the town, and I'd really like to offer my take on it. I think a moderator needs to have a great sense of humor and be able to go with the flow and help people feel comfortable with their votes. And so I'd really like to ask everyone to consider voting for me, both at the town meeting next Monday night and then on election day, May 11th. And I'll do my best to serve the town as best I can.
Right. No, that sounds great. And to remind people, the town meeting is at 7:00 over at the high school, and people should have received their warrant listing in the mail. Oh, let's see, I think I got mine a couple days ago. So with that, review it and get your questions ready. And we'll see whether or not, we'll go ahead and, like I say, hopefully we can get it all done in the one night.
I hope so.
It's gone a couple of times for over 2 night period, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to say now, James, thank you for participating in this candidate forum. We hope you, the audience, have had a chance to listen and use this information that you've gathered to make a decision. And with that decision, that's going to be for the spring town meeting happening at the town hall on May 11th, 2021. The polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. I want to remind people too that the last day that you can request an absentee ballot, all right, this is the sample ballot, and you can request an absentee ballot. That application needs to be in by May 5th at 5 p.m. It also needs to be in that town clerk's hands in that office by 5 p.m. for it to be taken in. So with that, I really do appreciate your time, James. I think this was a good forum to give people a chance to see who you are and answer those questions. I hope it gave the audience some time to as well to go ahead and listen to what you have to say.
Well, thank you, Janet, and thank you, APAC, for hosting this. And I think it's an excellent opportunity for the town to learn more about the candidates on the ballot.
That's
Thank you
true.
very
And
much.
yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to do the debates, and get that back into happening. Pandemic will be over with and such. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much, and see you about town.